Hello. Hello. Okay. Oh no. Why? Why are you like this? Sorry about this, guys. I'm gonna have to fiddle with the camera a little bit more, which I know is awesome to have to watch, but unfortunately it's being really titchy. There we go. Cool. Okay. So, hello. Good morning. Got some fun things for us to do today. Well, for me to do today. Um, it's been a little while. I just honestly have not had the time. So what's going to happen now is, I believe, it's time for our biggest boy to get some clothes. We have all these little bits and bobs need to go ahead and be attached to our stinky boy. And I think now is the time to do that. Any other inconsequential dry brushing or touch up that I need to do on this model, on this armor, I can do while it is attached. So that is what I am going to do today. On top of that, something I completely forgot about is that a lot of these parts are actually magnetized. So you can actually kind of see it. I don't know if I really care to have them magnetized because they're not a huge deal, but we've got these big old holes here, and we've got the big old hole at the bottom there. And the idea is it's supposed to be magnetized so I can swivel or swap out as necessary. But to be honest, I don't really plan on changing the loadout of him very much, except maybe his gun arms. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'm really going to bother magnetizing. It's just all going to get glued on and it'll be fine. Is there anything in here that I need? No, it doesn't look like it. So I'm going to grab... I don't need any of these paints either. However, I do need some glue. And I'm going to need to get the leg rods so I can effectively glue on the leg armor. There is one thing on this guy, big old boy, on this chunky man. Hey, K-Former, how's it going? There is one big thing that I need to do that I have not done yet on light. And that is I need to get the leg rods in on him. And then, in a slightly bigger bit of modification, I need to finish his face. Hey, Montravon, how's it going? Good to see you guys. Good morning. Well, for me, it's morning. It's about 7:15. Good time zone, however you guys are doing. I'm right now trying to get everything together so I can start putting my armor pieces on this wonderfully large man. Let's see, actually did I accidentally glue the magnets together on his hips, on his waist? Oh, nope. Yes, I did. That's kind of a problem. The magnet that is held together in his waist has been now glued onto this, so I'm going to have to get that all set up. 1:15 p.m. for you, so you're a wee bit ahead of me there. I'm up early, and so I'm just kind of getting things together while before I go to church today. So what it looks like I need to do, at least right now, I've got just an absolute mess of stuff here, is they actually went ahead and 3D printed the piston on the back of the leg piece. And so that means I need to go ahead and get part of a piston, which will probably be this right here. Or maybe it goes on this one. I don't really know. Part of a piston. I'm going to have to get that on there and glue it on. And slide it into this receiver and hope that I get everything right. So I'm going to go ahead and try and do that since the lower body is essentially done. I might hit it with another dry brush just to make sure that it gets a highlight again, because right now everything has been severely dulled down by the brain died, by the wash, the yucky glue wash that I gave it. So I might need to actually hit it again to bring back some light. Oh, look at that. Okay. I probably did this the dumb way. It's okay. Actually, that one feels a little low, doesn't it? I'm going to fiddle with this a bit. I think this one is actually to the other leg, which is fine. I can do that in a minute. Where did the other one go? I should have dry fit these things. This one. This one feels like it's long enough, and it feels like no, that is to the right one. Okay, so I was correct. So this might take me a minute because I've never done something to this scale before, or this complexity. So this is going to be a lot of fiddling around by me to figure this stuff out. How are you guys doing? It's been a while since I've been on again. I typically have this problem where I'll go online for a bit. I was really consistent for a while, but then I had that issue of taking some medication that made me way too fatigued to do this at all. Actually, that's going to have to work, I think. That's going to work fine because it doesn't really need to have full connection, I don't believe. I just kind of have it there to look like it did. Yeah, that'll do. It'll all glue in, it'll all be fine. But yeah, I was not ill per se. I just had this big issue where I was severely fatigued from the blood pressure medication I was taking. And once that kind of cleared up, once I stopped taking that blood pressure medication, I was a whole lot better. And that allowed me to stream again. But then I had this secondary problem of just not having time anymore. My weekends or my weekdays have suddenly become much busier, partially because of Lent, and just partially because of, you know, life getting in the way. But my wife and I have both decided that we want to get a little more physically active. So something we're trying to do on the weekdays is when I get home from work, instead of coming straight down here and streaming, is taking walks with her. And those usually last for about 30 to 45 minutes. And now, does this, one moment. Yeah, this is an upswing, right? This goes up like so. Doesn't it? Let's find out. I mean, that makes sense because of how the arrow is pointing, but let's go ahead and do a double check before I make a huge mistake. Let's look at some Chaos Knights, shall we? Chaos Knights, specifically the biggest. Oh, no, I'm wrong. The arrow actually points down, and it looks like it covers the knee. So, I guess that does make more sense, given that that's more of the exposed material on it. But yeah, so that's led to me having a whole lot less time, actually, to stream. And so for a while, I remember I was going kind of like a madman. I was streaming pretty much every day. And when I looked at the number of hours I was streaming monthly on Twitch's, you know, algorithm stuff, it really looked like I wasn't doing anything else, because I had something like 40 odd hours in stream time. And that is a bit intense, I will admit. Don't get me wrong, I have a ton of fun doing it, but I probably need to slow down a bit. That's going to cover his weenie. So, not too worried about it. I'll stream when I can, but unfortunately, my consistency has been thrown off a bit. Man, this model's going to look good when he's all kitted out. Okay. What else does he need? These are for his arms. This is a chest plate, so I think for now I'm done with the legs. Look at this thing. This is going to be so gross. I think the best part was finding the chicken legs, right? Because the Dominus class knights don't have that. They don't actually have the chicken legs. I don't remember what it's actually called, so I just jokingly call them chicken legs. But they don't actually have that as part of their model, right? They're straight leg, like the Imperium Knights, because they originally only had the one kit, and just indicated that you could, you know, make it look like Chaos if you want to. Give me a second. I'm dealing with a magnet that I wish was not glued on, that got glued on because of a wash. But yeah, I found this STL a while ago that tried to have, I don't remember what they called them, I guess evil chicken legs for the Chaos Knights. I'm really scared of doing this, guys. So I'm gonna rip my arm, or I'm gonna put a huge gouge in my hand, because what happened was that last magnet is supposed to be attached to the torso, but because of the process that I went through to wash everything, there's a little bit of glue in the wash, and it looks like it just straight attached itself. So I might just need to permanently glue this torso on, because I don't want to use a pry to get this apart. You know what I mean? And I don't want to use a knife, because a knife will cut me. So I guess one thing I can do is, if I have enough magnets, I can probably attach them to the end of this, just pull the entire thing apart, and use all 3 of these for later. But today's not going to be that day. So he's going to go off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting this together. Take these off so they're not in the way. Oh boy. So let's see, what can I put? I think, again, I probably need to pull up the original Chaos Knight, so I have an idea of where stuff goes. Okay, yeah, that looks about right. Because I do have the an Imperium version of these, but he's elsewhere. He's predisposed. Wait, do these actually go? Did they actually put them down that long? It looks like there's a slot right on the arm. Right there, that they put on there specifically for the curve. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and attach it there. But will that work? Will that work? Will you fit? I guess so. So I guess that's gonna go there. I actually don't know where this goes. They didn't give me instructions when they made this. They just kind of gave us the STL files and were like, here you go, have fun. It looks like it goes right underneath. But where does it attach? I see it's got these little nubbins to it. Oh, no. They look like they might go right here, but they don't actually fit. Now, this could be a case of the STL models being just slightly incompatible. And I suppose if that's the case, whatever. I'll figure it out. But, that's going to be a problem. Actually, I think I know what I can do there. I think I can just nip the outside. Yeah, I'll just take these parts off. There we go. And that way, since there's just the slightest bit of incompatibility, it'll be fine. And of course, someone's probably looking at what I'm doing like, what are you doing? That's not the right way to do this. But I'll deal with it later. So these will slide on. Wrong way, I guess. Yep, wrong way. These will slide on right here. And that'll be okay-ish. Okay. That works for me. The only place where it looks like it'll fit. And I remember on the actual Knight that I have, the actual Knight Dominus, this being a really weird, awkward fit as well. So I don't feel as bad for having to kind of jerry-rig it a little bit. Put a globe in there, blob in there, and around a bit, and hit it like so. And there we go. Now it's attached on 4 contact points. It's going to look a little ugly, but it's not too worried about it. I will say, the one thing that concerns me is that this piece is going to slide on pretty darn well. Oh, no, actually it's a little too small as well. I'll make it work. This thing's been put off for way too long for me to not. Okay, oh, okay, so no, it'll stretch. It'll be fine. Like I said, I don't have a traditional head to put in here because I didn't want to use one. Instead, I have this now heavily mutated version of what's supposed to be the Scarlet Witch, and I have a little chunk of Angron's jaw that I'm going to attach to her to try and make it look as nightmarish as possible. So that's all going to go on there eventually. But right now, I need to attach you. So I'm going to put you down. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of super glue to this. And hopefully it will all stick. Learn today why it's a bad idea to make your own gym bros into people you play war games with. Oh no, what happened with that? Today you learned why it's a bad idea to make your gym bros into people you play war games with. I mean, I get it, I guess, but like, what happened with your case? Because I would figure the gym's a great place to make friends, and if they enjoy the stuff that you enjoy outside of the gym, then that's definitely a good thing. But I'm assuming in this case it did not end well for one reason or another. Okay, you fit a second ago. Why are you not fitting now? My friend got injured while lifting, so now I can't really move, so I can't go to the gym with him nor play war games. Oh, okay. I was expecting this to end in a much more negative way. So while I'm not happy for your friend who is now injured and can't do any of the fun things you want to do with them, I'm at the very least relieved that it wasn't something toxic or horrible that happened that made you realize, oh, I don't want to hang out with these people anymore. Okay, what's going on? I legitimately got this to fit like 2 seconds ago. Hey, Stoneless Bee, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Right now, I'm trying to put together a 3D printed Nurgle Knight that I am in the process of like nearly breaking because I had this fitting fine a second ago, and now it wants to fight me every step of this way as I try and get the carapace off, because I believe it's a smidge too small, but I got it to fit a second ago. Can't really move or sit, so you can't. Gosh, that sucks. Maybe you should try Tabletop Simulator if you haven't already. If he can kind of recline and play on his laptop, I don't know if that would actually be a thing you'd want to do though. Please, for the love of all that is Nurgle and rotten, fit. Welcome to Ben Repaints, where you watch me struggle to fit a round peg in a square hole for an hour and a half. Okay, so that's weird. That's fitting fine. So, let's see. How mathematically off is this? It shouldn't be. It's really darn close. That's a clean fit. And that's off by, it looks like, a smidgen. And that could just be the diagonal of it. Like I said, I got this all to work a second ago. And see, like, even here, it looks like it should be working. But yeah, hopefully he recovers soon. Hopefully they recover soon. And you'll be able to do a whole lot more wargaming with them and have a whole lot more fun, you know, either stomping or getting stomped by their army. Okay, this is actively frustrating. These things have been sitting around for like years. For over a year at this point. Oh. No? And all I want to do is finish this up so I can have another thing checked off the bucket list. Okay, that works. It's not on perfectly, but it definitely slid down. So, I'm counting it. Okay, so that's just going to sit on there like that. Hopefully I haven't pulled off too much of the paint with my now glue-infested fingers. I guess the next thing, I don't know, he's kind of old, so it'll take a while to heal. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I guess the best you can do at that point is just be there to support him and, you know, wish him well, hope he gets better. Yeah, but that's a problem that I've had, that I used to have when I was trying to get friends into going to the boxing gym with me, was that I have actually with any hobby, people in late 20s are fragile. That hurts me inside and outside. And since I'm in my mid 30s, it's going to take me a long time to recover. I'll never financially recover from this. But in all seriousness, I mean, it's good that you got friends to play with, and hopefully they will continue to be really good Warhams friends. Now, did I just do this wrong? Was I supposed to put you on there? Oh no, I was supposed to put you on first. But you're like a cowling that barely shows up. I think I know how I can do this. I cheat. I mean, I get it. When I was in my my late 20s, I really hurt my back, and it was in the dumbest way possible. And so I used for a while, I had really bad sciatic issues, and it was entirely because I overtrained, and I really destroyed my body. And I suppose that when it had a second to recover, it realized it had a second to recover, and went, okay boys, time to let it all go. And then it just stopped working. I was lying in the bathtub, and at my old house where I used to live, I had a very large bathtub. Like, it looked like it was meant to fit 2 people, because it was uncommonly wide, and I don't know why, to be completely honest, and I miss it every day now that I'm in a different house. But I was just kind of lying in the tub, enjoying myself, and I decided, you know what? I'd like to lie sideways. So I curled up on my side and just kind of, hung out there for a bit. And when I started moving again, when I tried to get out of the tub, I realized, man, my back is stiff. And it was giving me a little bit of grief. So I just kind of ignored it, because at that point, I was used to little minor aches and pains just from going to the boxing gym and overworking myself. And then I realized, I don't even have a bathtub. Yeah, it does kind of feel like an American luxury. A lot of things in America, now that I've, definitely met more people of different cultures, feel like ridiculous luxuries. But I got out and everything seemed to be okay, except for the fact that my back was really freaking stiff. And it kept bothering me until it was to the point the next day where I tried to roll out of bed, and I just had shooting pain all the way down to my leg, like, down to my calf. And at that point I realized, oh, I probably should go to the doctor. So I found out I pinched my sciatic nerve in my leg. Please no, just stay. I just need you to stay. You are doing so good. Actually, wait a minute. No, I know what I need to do with you. You got an indentation right in here. Sorry if some of this is off camera. We used to have a bathtub, but everyone showered anyway, so you got rid of it. That's fair. Bathtubs are a colossal waste of space and water. As someone who loves taking baths, they are really, really grossly inefficient ways to clean yourself. But yeah, no, everyone here showers too, but I also anticipate having children, and so I don't believe that they're going to want to shower when they're very young. Okay, last little bits, because I really want to be done with this thing. Go ahead and glue on the tops, and glue on these comically large missiles. This looks great, thanks. Yeah, thank you, Swedish Muppet Guy, I appreciate it. This is completely 3D printed. Like a tea bag in it, fair enough. I've not sent the ATV off yet, but definitely will do. That's perfectly fine. I don't, obviously it's a gift, and so I'm not super worried about it. Whenever you have time to send it off, that'll be fine. I greatly appreciate the gift. I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I have a Facebook gentleman who's supposed to be sending me some free, what the heck are they called? Paints and, assorted miniatures to help with the local club that I run, so that we can have more things to paint. And I have not heard from them. Hey, Benry, how's it? I'm Benry. What am I doing? Hey, Kieran, how's it going? I was reading your exclamation as I was, thinking of what I was going to say. So how's it going, Kieran? I'm glad to see you all are here. I am in the process right now. This looks really crooked. I'm in the process right now of finally, after like a year and a half of planning this thing and putting it together and constructing it, of putting together a Nurgle-inspired Chaos Knight. The entire thing is 3D printed. And, I got the legs done, and I got the body all glued together. Now I've just got to let it cure. And I'm going to need to do some more with the guns, because they're obviously a little bit plain looking right now. You know, had a lazy morning and just now really going to start some chores after 12. Am I doing sound better? Thank you. That's because I feel a whole lot better. Oh my gosh, I'm scared to put it down because I'm going to break him. Like I said, I've been off the blood pressure medication now for about 2 weeks, and I seem to be doing okay. I'm definitely more awake than I've been because I've gotten good sleep. But now I'm just trying to figure out what the heck do I want to do next with this guy. Like I mentioned before, this is not supposed to be glued on. That there's like 3 magnet discs on him, and the third one was actually supposed to be on the Knight, but it seems to have gotten glued onto the other 2 because I used a wash that has a little bit of PVA glue in it. And given how many times I've accidentally sliced myself with a knife, I'm kind of afraid to touch it. You know what I mean? But I mean, I'm glad that you've had a good morning. Chores can be done whenever. Good mornings are hard to attain. So you should be proud of that. But yeah, I need to get that magnet off somehow so I can glue it onto the Knight, because otherwise there's no way his torso is gonna fit. And the last thing I need to do with him is figure out how to get his head on. Because, like I've mentioned before, I don't want to use a regular Knight head. I found this, and I want it to look upsetting. And I think I'm there. This is the mouth from the Angron, one of the alternate mouths from the Angron. And this is a bobblehead from a Scarlet Witch promo that came out with the Doctor Strange movie. So I'm going to have it attached to the neck by a ton of like paper clips and like electric wire that I have that's gonna look absolutely gross. But right now my biggest concern is that I want to be able to put the entire thing together so that I'm not so scared of trying to pick this thing up. And what I thought was kind of neat for anyone who's like, oh my goodness, that's so cool, I couldn't do that. Entire thing is dry brush. Stick a tongue out of it. Well, I mean, I can, and I'm gonna. There's actually a tongue already kind of built in there. But yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can to make this upsetting. But yeah, this is entirely dry brushed. After hitting it with a base black spray and then hitting all of this with like the Death Guard green, I just hit the rest of it with a dry brush. There's no actual attempts at painting on this thing. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. And then I hit it with my DIY wash, which always makes everything look really dirty and oily. So I think that it really works for these models. But now I've got to figure out, like I said, I'm really scared that I'm going to just slice my hand open on camera, which would be horrifying for Twitch. But the only way I can think to get this off is to take like one of these multi-tool knives and just kind of pry it off. But I'm scared that between the magnetic pull, the amount of force I need, and my general clumsiness, that I'm going to try and pry this off and go right through my fingers. You know what I mean? So I don't want to do this on stream because I don't want to suddenly have a moment where I'm panicking because there's blood everywhere. So I don't think I'm going to do that. The more I think about it, a flathead screwdriver, that could work. And by the way, hello, Tobacco, how's it going? Flathead screwdriver could work, but it's still kind of the same problem. Because this has a strong magnetic pull, it's going to want to pull the screwdriver towards it. And I can't actually get underneath this. I've got to kind of pry my way in. And so I'm afraid just the amount of force I'm going to need is just going to go right through and I'm going to jam myself. But I also don't want to leave this like this. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do it off camera. And you guys can just hear me freak out about it. Yes, that's going to be her face. That's going to be her mandible. Do I have any spudgers? I don't know what spudger is, so I'm going to assume no. If we hear an owl, we'll know what happened. Very true. Or if you hear a loud clatter and then an oh no, then you know what happened. Okay, I don't like that at all. What I think I can do actually is I have some IPA and I have some cotton swabs. So, and some paper towels. So I think I'm actually going to hit this with some IPA. Cut away from the hand. There's no real way for me to hold on to this to cut away from the hand. If I do it like this, I really don't have a lot of control of the blade, and I just want to break the model. And in general, cutting away from the hand is something that you teach children so they don't slice the hand open, right? As you get older, especially with more precise tools, that becomes less important. Otherwise, there's a lot of chefs in the world that are doing it wrong. Okay, so now what I think I'm going to do... no, I do not have any spudgers. I am not an electronic repair person. I barely know how to repair my computer. So what I'm doing instead is I've got some IPA, and I'm just going to use that on the adhesive and kind of wash it away. And hopefully by gradually fiddling it apart or soaking it into this stuff, I can get rid of most of the grossness. And in getting rid of most of the grossness, I can find where this thing glued together. Oh no, I think I know what happened and I hate it. I think some of the liquid cement I was using earlier to attach it to the body just ended up getting stuck in the seam. One of those iFixit toolkits. You'll never need most things, but you never know. Yeah, that is definitely one of those better to have and not need than need and not have tools. And yeah, I'm right. The super glue that I was using to hold the magnet onto the torso, it looks like it just kind of slid down into the seam and is now stuck in there. So I'm not getting it. Instead is the opposite of that. I am going to just glue the heck out of that onto the torso and hope I never have to pull them apart again. Which makes me a little sad. This was one of my first big gluing projects, like magnetizing projects, and I thought it turned out pretty okay. But as you guys can clearly see, there have been problems. So I'm just going to glue the stuff out of this and hope that I get it at a good angle. You're gonna go like that. And gravity is just gonna hold you in place. Are there any solvents for that glue? Most likely, but I don't have them. And to be honest, with how I transport them, I really don't need to have this guy in pieces. I don't really have a way to transport him safely in pieces. So having him magnetized at the waist is probably the worst thing I could do, because if I bump into something, then his waist will fall off. And I mean, you can see by the model, he's very pokey. And so the last thing I really want to do is have any part of him fall, because then they'll just snap, and that's a problem. So the next thing I need to do, which is probably going to be one of the funnest things, is first I kind of probably should spray prime this, shouldn't I? But I'm gonna get to do some of the plasma burn on this thing, which I'm excited about, because Chaos Plasma is not red, it's blue. Or if it's not blue, it's red. So I think for the Death card, well no, I guess technically for the other Chaos Knight I made it more of a magenta, so I probably ought to stick with that. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and use those colors. That should be good. Yes. Okay, so this Doomfire Magenta. I have this Doomfire Magenta, but it ends up being very, very red when I finish with it. I don't want it to be red. Actually, maybe I do. I do also have this Vallejo Model Red, which I think is what I'm going to use. Yeah, that's exactly it. I am very ill-prepared for my job. And Tabiko is having some great solutions that I'm going to keep in mind for the next time this happens, because I really don't want to slice my hand open again. I did that once, and it sucked. So maybe next time I'll prepare a little better, you know? Today is not that day. So hope I'll remember this, Tabiko, and or Tobacco. I always forget. I'm really sorry, bud. You said it sounds like tobacco, so I'm gonna keep going with that. But then again, I pronounce tobacco with an American accent, so that changes things. You know, it's one of those do as I say, not as I do things. I get it. So let's see. Is this gonna give me what I want? Give me exactly what I want. I just want a deep, angry red plasma glow. Especially the further away I get from it. I strongly recommend, guys, if you do not have an airbrush and you wanted to get really great results on your miniature figures, get a cheap-ass airbrush. They make some fantastic, you know, relatively fantastic tankless compressors with the airbrush. And like I said, they're not great by any means, but by no means are they awful. They're perfectly serviceable. And I bought one of them just kind of on a whim. Yep, classic dad advice, exactly. I bought one on a whim because it was like $60, and it's been incredibly useful. It gets like 15 psi, which is kind of sad, but for doing, you know, miniature paint or miniature airbrushing, it works perfectly great. And you don't need to have a big setup. You don't need to have a compressor. It does what it's supposed to do, and it does it adequately enough. The only problem I really have with it is that it's got a very narrow feeder hole from the cup into the actual airbrush proper, and so you've really got to dilute your paints down, or else it just won't go through. So let's go ahead and hit that again. That almost did nothing. To the oh, there it goes. There's the pink I'm looking for. I was like, that red is the exact same red that I was just squirting out of this thing. So what are you doing? And the answer is getting rid of all of the other red before we got to the mixture I just made. And also, if you're like, well, I can't afford an airbrush, I don't have the space for an airbrush, that's cool, because the other thing you can do to get very similar results is dry brush, which works almost exactly as well. And if you need me for that, just look at the rest of the model, because he is completely dry brushed. Okay, let's mix that in. I am mixing in pale sand, which is a warm white, to go along with the red that I was using, specifically because this is supposed to be a hot, warm color, and hopefully that will make it look like this is powering up. Come on, come on. Get rid of all that stuff. Give me the really white. There, it's coming. There, it's going. That's what I want. And see, now coils look like they're hot. I had my artist wife explain to me the difference between like cool and white colors, because she has a friend who's, unfortunately, if I were to get back into the hobby, I'd consider getting a dropper so I can eyeball ratios a bit more accurately. Yeah. I'm bad about that. Something that has helped with that, though, is that, you know, getting something like Vallejo, who puts everything in droppers already, so you kind of have that built in. That's one of the worst parts about Citadel paints, is that they're in those tubs, and the tubs are only so useful, right? For a while, I was just using scoops. As an example, I had this one terrible brush that I kept using that's beaten up beyond recognition, and so I would just use like scoops as the parts for various paint mixtures. And also, I never bothered being that accurate because I'm lazy. And actually, do I still have it somewhere around here? Give me a second. I've got one Citadel brush that I used to use a lot, and it's basically ruined at this point. And so it's become my all-purpose destroyer brush. And I don't remember if I put it back with my other ones, or if I put it back in my No, it's not back in my stuff. I don't know where it went. All my GW droppers from Amazon. That's exactly what I did. I bought a cheap set of droppers. Come on, come on, come on. Give me the white. Is that pure white? That is pure white. Thank goodness. I bought some droppers. I bought some agitator balls, marbles. And between using some like flow improver that I would just mix in, and there we go. And using some the heck does it work? And like a funnel, a cheap funnel that I bought. I was able to transfer all of my Games Workshop stuff into the appropriate dropper bottles. Unfortunately, I did this long before I understood about like paint ratios and whatnot. So almost all of my Games Workshop dropper bottles are now way too thin for me to use, and I'm not very good at it. Is there anything else I need to do? I think, especially since now I'm just kind of being flippant with it, I'll make that heat sink a little wider. Make that heat sink a little wider. I've got some of this color left over, so now I'm just spraying it where I think it could go. Those are coils, so I think I can use those. But yeah, transferring my GW paints to the dropper bottles was a game changer until I started buying Vallejo. And it, like I said, it's so cheap that it's really worth doing. That'll do. That'll do. And I'll hit the rest of this later with some other color. I'm not sure. It feels like I should just have it as more than this rusty bronze, but I'll figure it out. I'll be right back. I'm gonna clean out the airbrush. And then I'll be back to figure out what else I'm gonna do with this thing. Okay, I think that's about as functionally clean as it's gonna get. So, okay, careful, buddy. I don't want to break it. There we go. There's 4. And oh dear, I think I've made a tactical error, because that'll fit on fine, but unfortunately, because of the angle of the can. Oh no! Oh no! It won't fit because of the armor. Oh, what have I done? I guess the good news is I can just snap off that horn and everything will be fine, right? No one's gonna know. Oh man, I should have gotten. There were 2 different angles I could have taken for these elbows, and one of them had more of a 45 degree to it, so that the arms were splayed out a bit more. And I didn't choose that one because it didn't look right. So I chose the ones that were just straight 90 degrees. And when I put them on, I realized, wow, those are really tight to the body. I hope that doesn't become a problem later. As soon as I put on it was just like, oh, okay. This was only a year and a half in the making. And see, this is part of why I love having this on record, is that, there's no way I can hide this, right? It's just great, amazing, fun, goofs and gaffs. But again, this is a Nurgle Knight. So if parts of it have to look a little bit destroyed, then they're going to be destroyed. Ah! Ah! There we go. And let's see, is that going to work? No, it is still too thick. I have chosen the wrong place to put his waist, man. Let's see, because what I could have done if he had not been perfectly glued or like hardened, is I could, first of all, switch those off, and that's a lot better looking. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing actually came with a broken horn right there, just built in. The biggest issue, like I said, is that I'm mixing makes, right? The original, this did not come as one bit. The knight itself, like the frame, that was one creator, and I believe the weapons were another creator. They might have been the same, I don't recall, but the armor was definitely a third creator or second creator. So this is what he's going to look like minus the head. Now I'm praying right now. I'm praying to every Chaos God there is that these supports underneath will hold. What I ended up doing was, let's take those off. What I ended up doing was, I mean, even the base is printed, if you believe that. I ended up pinning some very long paper clips into his feet and then gluing them to this base. So hopefully all of this will stay, because this is a very, very heavy piece. We're gonna do that, and then we'll do that. And he's pretty much done. Well, she's pretty much done. Except for this little bit, which I'm still kind of vacillating. Yeah, it's not deceptively heavy, but the resin, to make sure that the resin was supportive enough, it definitely needed to be printed thicker than plastic. I don't feel like I have to be this careful with, for example, the Imperial Fist one that I have. And actually, here's an idea. I'll be right back. Alright, this is my allies attachment. Yep. This is the one I did that my wife got me for Christmas. And like you can see, I'm a whole lot more free and loose with how I'm holding this because it's just a whole lot lighter, right? So I'm gonna put you down. Oh no. Oh no. He's met Big Brother, and Big Brother has all of the diseases. So first of all, I probably should have printed this at a slightly smaller scale. But second of all, the Chaos Knight is considerably heavier. And I really don't think of that too much as a bad thing. I think that the Chaos stuff should look a little swollen and messed up, right? But I think the extra limb, the extra joint in the leg, because you can see it's got the two jointed legs versus very clearly, oh boy, the three jointed legs. That extra joint gave him a substantial height boost. So I think that's definitely part of it. But yeah, I always thought the Dominus class knights were big enough, right? And now I'm looking at the Chaos Dominus class knight, and don't live how I did, kid. Open a savings account as soon as you start earning money. From a Nurgle branded cigar. That'd probably just be like Severed Finger that has like the Black Death or something. What's gonna be worse is, again, this knight, first of all, it doesn't have a face yet, but this knight is eventually gonna have this face coming out with some tendrils and cords holding it together. So it's gonna have that voice like, you know, the older woman who has clearly had a lot go on in their life. So he's gonna end up sounding like this with the really heavy rasp to the voice. Oh man, I really like these models. Now, I just need to get myself, or print myself, like 4 more War Dogs. And gonna sound like Dr. Girlfriend from, exactly, gonna sound like Dr. Girlfriend from Venture Brothers. But yeah, I think the next thing I really need to do, the next big thing I really need to do is find some way to acquire, and of course she's from Boston! Yeah, exactly. is find 4 more war dogs and put those together, and then I'll have a fully fledged Chaos Knight army. Because I've got... Actually, let's get a family photo. I have... Will she get Murder Muppets as well? I mean, kinda has them already, I guess. So here's a terrible secret. I actually have not seen a whole lot of Venture Brothers. When it was airing regularly, I wasn't staying up very late on Adult Swim, so I didn't get to watch it. And I've just never gotten around to actively sitting down and watching the entire thing, even though it's clearly an incredible show. Put that over there for now. Okay, buddy, come on. I'm really scared to pick these things up just because they're so big and fragile. But let's see, I've got the Knight Rampager over here. And then I've got a War Dog. And another one. So here's the whole family. And again, the plan is eventually, let's go ahead and zoom this out a bit so you guys can see the whole thing. Ultra wide. And of course now the camera shot and the lighting is just absolutely garbage. But eventually the plan is going to be that I want to get a full you have to restart the PC? That's fine. Appreciate you telling me. Let's see, let me move the mic out of the way, because right now the mic is in the way of the wiring. Eventually the plan is to get all of them. Like, to get 2 to 4 more War Dogs. And that way I'll have a full custom-themed Nurgle Chaos Army. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Because I really like how these things look. I really like how thematically they're turning out. So I can't wait to see what... I can't wait to see what this entire thing is going to look like when it's done. But that's kind of where things are going. If you notice with this guy, I just ended up using the Chaos bits that came with the Knight. And same with these, I just gave them as much of a Nurgly theme as possible. But the Tyrant clearly looks like it has been corrupted by the influence of Nurgle. So we'll see how that all turns out, and hopefully it is a family, right? Just imagine the biggest one, especially because it's gonna have Scarlet Witch face. Don't talk to me or my son or my son's son or my son's son's son ever again. So yeah, I'm very excited with how all this is going to turn out once it's all done, and I'm really happy with how they all look now. And also, the person I play Warhammer with the most, Soft Servo, he has an extreme... Welcome back. He has an extreme fascination, and I don't mean this in a bad way, because I agree with him wholeheartedly. He has an extreme fascination with, like, asymmetrical games. One of his favorite games of all time is Ogre, which, if you've never played Ogre, you really should. Ogre is a fantastic game. The idea is one side controls a giant tank, like a Baneblade sized tank at its smallest, right? They get bigger than that. They get up to the size of that Imperial Guard tank that nests with other tanks. So like that size. You play one of those, and its job is to destroy an enemy base. And the enemy gets a certain power level of, like, smaller tanks, hovercrafts, troops, etc., and they've got to stop it. And he's in love with those kind of games. So, to me, having, like, this force of Chaos Knights works perfectly because he plays AdMech. And so having, like, a force of AdMech having to stop a force of Chaos Knights from getting to the location or whatever is going to be right up both our alleys. So I'm really excited to be
What the heck happened? Oh no, okay, I see what I did there. It's gonna be really exciting to do. I'm looking at my Night Abominate, and I'm seeing this. I'm like, what did I do there? And I'm realizing that's supposed to be glow from his lenses, because his lenses underneath the mask are like startlingly reddish pink, which you can only see if you look at him dead on. Now that I'm trying to stare at him, but I think it's neat, so I'm happy I did it. And I think what will make this even more interesting, at least to me, just because I can and I will, is, I've got like 2,000 points of Death Guard to play with, so I don't just have these guys, I also have Mortarion. I have a Mortarion that can, like, lead the charge. So, hopefully at some point we'll get to play this just monstrously big game and just have a really good time, trying to see if he could take out all of my knights before they make it to the other end of the board. But we're gonna have to do that sometime. That's the big plan, as far as I can tell. My biggest problem now is that I'm gonna have to find a way to transport all these guys, because I have one tall, essentially piece of Tupperware that I can transport some of them in, but this tyrant has become a whole new problem since he's just so darn big. I might have to buy another one, is what it looks like. Okay. I can go over here. I think foam padded briefcase. With how many sticky bits are on these guys, I'm really worried about doing that, to be completely honest. That, and I mean, I know there's a lot of money riding on this stuff now, but the foam padded stuff is far too expensive for me. Like with my current setup, which is these big plastic tubs with metal stripping on the bottom of them, that cost me about $20-$30. But to get like a good foam padded setup, that's going to be upwards of, $50 to $100 to $200. Oh my gosh, he's so much heavier than the other bits. He's going to go over here. There we go. He's going to go out of the way. So, I don't know. I'll figure something out, because at this point I kind of have to. In the meantime, I've got some other things I need to paint. At some point, I need to get this guy together. This is a Station Forge, obviously a whole lot smaller now. A Station Forge Skitarii Marshal proxy. So, I'm gonna have to paint him up at some point. If any of you are Legend of Zelda fans, I found this one maker who does these absolutely adorable Koroks. So, I printed some for Soft Servo for his kids, and then his wife saw them, and even though he got her another Valentine's Day gift, she was more than a little upset that he didn't get some of these for her too. So I printed these out, and I need to give those to him. What other weird crap do I have? Gotta go take care of some chores. See you later. Yeah, I'll see you later, man. I'm actually going to be off soon too, because I need to go to church. I bought this, and it makes me obscenely happy. It's a second edition Space Marine, right? And I just think they're really, really cool. Oh no, I see what happened there. The nib snapped off in there, so it doesn't quite fit right. But I have some of these. I know, what a relic, right? I found them online, and most of them were really, really hecked up. But I found them, and me and Soft Servo have talked about how much we've wanted these for a while. So I bought them. I wasn't going to let the price of them scare me off. And he really, really likes second edition Space Marines. He thinks that they are perfect and we don't need to go any further design-wise. And I kind of agree. I wish we had stuck with this, I know, right? From what I understand, these came from like the second edition starter box. And so they're very, very old. And I kind of want to have an army of them. But at the same time, I really like the slightly larger scale. Well, since I have so much larger scale, I'd like to keep it that way.
But what I think is going to happen is, I know for a fact he wants all of his Space Marine squads to be this size. So I found an STL of them, actually. I'm really happy to say that. And I'll just go ahead and print them at the size they belong at and make him a squad of tactical Marines to go along with his true scale Primaris Marnius Calgar. And I also have, I'm bummed out that the new Marines aren't very poseable. Yeah, them being mono pose is kind of weak in a lot of ways, and I understand it because them being mono pose allows those poses to just be so much more dynamic, you know? But at the same time, I feel like it also puts the pressure on them to make the poses interesting, and they don't always look that great. So I'd much rather them have the somewhat static poses that allow you to have more fun with them. I feel like they may have tried too hard and flown too close to the sun. And to be honest, I've said this before because I've reached Old Man Yells at Cloud levels with this game, but I really don't like the Primaris look anyway. So, what I ended up doing was I found a bunch of STLs for Firstborn Marines and Horus Heresy Marines. Yeah, it does make it less daunting for beginners. I understand why they did a lot of this stuff. It's good marketing. Honestly, though, I feel like if they want to make this game less daunting for beginners, they need to stop making it so you have to spend $1,000 to get into it, beyond extremely casual play. I actually did a thing. I made a thematically accurate Imperial Fists 2,000 point army just for funsies. And I was like, okay, now how much would it cost me to buy all this if I were to try and get it from the GW store? And it was close to $1,000. And that's a lot of money to try and play the game in its standard way. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. I spent enough time whining about that. Okay, I don't want to slice my hand open. But yeah, I really like the old school model kits. And actually, I don't know if you've seen this yet, Kieran, but this is one of my favorite tools that I own. It's called Wow Stick. And it's essentially a high torque, low speed pin vise. Now, unfortunately, it's kind of expensive, but I feel like it's worth every penny. Yeah, I mean, you know, the lowest level games don't have to be played at 2,000 points. You can play combat patrols and whatnot, which they're now releasing boarding patrols, which are supposed to be 500 points. But they're for a very specific version of the game, so you don't get vehicles, you just get a ton of infantry. And those are at about $100. And they're also just a limited edition run, which sucks, because apparently the unit selection on them is top tier. But, let's see. Did I make this the right size? I'm kind of in love with this thing. Did I drill it? Because the last thing I want to do, especially with a flamethrower with a nozzle this small, is to ruin the hole in the middle. Because this was specifically requested by Soft Servo. He wants me to paint him up. Beautiful. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. He would like me to paint this up as an Ultramarine. So, using, like, the old style, with, like, the Goblin Green bases and the really bright colors, no metallics, no Grimdark. And I haven't done that before, so I'm kind of excited to give this a try. And, see if I can actually do that. Where'd his... Okay, so... Oh dear. There's a lot of schmeckus on this one. And it's gone. I just took that off. Okay, so that does go on here, but again, it looks like the peg has been stuck in there. So I'm going to have to chop that off as well. And it looks like these have been stripped too. Like, not very well either. And I think that's because Soft Servo... Well, I mean, about as well as you could get it. I think that's because Soft Servo and his friends wanted to resin cast these so that they could just have a you know, endless army of 2nd edition Space Marines.
but it doesn't look like they took to it too well, which is part of the reason why. Oh, this thing's been sliced on. That's unfortunate. Which is part of the reason why he's asked me to paint this one. So I'm gonna do that. Let's just try not to slice my hand open. Today is the day that Benry Paints gives himself a grievous finger wound. I just know it. Something else I wasn't aware of, and I find it very funny, is that the plastic that they use to make the Space Marines and the models is the same plastic used in packing, or the same compound used in packing peanuts. And so I just think it's funny that Games Workshop has done this. So I think that's just going to glue on right there. Especially because it doesn't have the, yep, that's just going to glue on right there. That'll be fine. I don't know if the other glue will work, so I think I'm just going to super glue all this crap together. And I believe, I don't know. Should I start putting this guy together, or should I paint him in sub-assemblies, just because this is going to be like almost a display piece for Soft Servo until you know, the mythical day where he gets his army together. Because he also has a million other hobbies that he's into. So this is not top priority for him. Looks like whoever last did this also super glued it together. Yeah, geez Louise, there's a lot of super glue just stuck on here. That crap off. What I love is there's even a spot right in there. There's a dimple. That's supposed to be a what you call it, like for the Aquila. Yeah, if this is going to be kind of a display piece, whack. Let's go ahead and paint this four pieces, and that means I'm going to have to create some new pins to hold them in. So let's do that. Make some paperclip. I'm gonna bend the paperclip using my multi-tool. Actually, what am I doing? I've got a multi-tool. That's what I was thinking. If this is gonna be a display piece, maybe I shouldn't try and cram it all together and then paint it. Make it beautiful. And eventually, probably on a day where I'm not streaming, I'll put together the Scarlet Witch base, and we'll see how that looks. Is this going to be the right size? It'll be the right size. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay. That back on. Out of the way. Nope. Come on. You drill a hole. Again. I love cheap chopsticks. They are my favorite tool. Wait a minute. Am I going to need to go bigger? I'm actually going to need to go bigger. Okay. So, Wild Stick, they had to know what they were doing. They had to know what they were doing. This has just been such a brilliant tool for miniature painting. Really happy I bought it. Oh no, I didn't get enough. Didn't twist this down enough. There we go. Now let's see where you go in there. Yes. There we go. Let's super glue. There we go there. There we go there. And now we have another. Now for this stuff, I feel like maybe I should do this in compartments where it's going to be hidden, right? Don't want to accidentally create a hole where it's going to be very visible. Into fist. Into fist. There we go. That'll work. And actually, I have to glue that on too, won't I? Just very, very lightly.
So let's go ahead and do it. Oh no, did I accidentally punch through? I think I might have accidentally punched through to the other side of his fist. Right here. Yeah, I did. But thankfully, no one will ever know, right? Because you guys aren't going to tell on me. I really appreciate that the energy for these videos are just me screaming, screw it, we'll do it live. So that'll go there. Let's go ahead and do a heal. Right in there. Perfect. And this one will go across my heart. Exactly. Get a little bit of a dab in there on his foot. Yeah, I can't wait to do this. I remember being really young and wanting to get into Warhammer and thinking that the super bright, vibrant colors were so cool, and just being too scared to get into it because, like you mentioned, Kieran, there's a lot of intimidating aspects to this hobby, and just the sheer scale and size of it is definitely a lot to try and get into. So not having someone to be that on-ramp for you definitely makes it into this, you know, fantasy pie-in-the-sky thing that you wish you could do. And to some extent, it was kind of that way with D&D as well. And I remember specifically talking with Soft Server about this one time, where you'd like walk into the hobby store and you'd see these huge elaborate tables with these great set pieces that were clearly homemade too, right? They weren't store-bought. And all you could think of is like, oh yeah, this is the old guard. These guys are the ancients. You know, they've got secrets to this game that I'm never going to get. And then realizing that just through sheer desire, you've managed to reach that level. Okay, I'm gonna have to hold on to that because I accidentally used too big a drill bit and now it won't stay. But yeah, I've always loved the look of the original Warhammer. That was just, everything was bright and oversaturated, and they looked like game pieces, right? And I think that's great, and I love it. And it's kind of been a nice contrast to the other half of the hobby for me, or the other side of the hobby, which is the, you know, the painting side. Which, as you guys clearly see through my videos, I really enjoy painting in that grimdark style. So I really want to do a good job with that, and make it look like, you know, little miniature set pieces as opposed to a gaming piece. Another old Space Marine that I'm gonna have some fun with. We're gonna scrape him down. Golly, the mold lines on these are really upsetting. I think one of the coolest things about Space Marines is they don't believe in necks. This guy, I want to paint him as a fist just because I love myself some fists, but at the same time, I paint everything as Imperial fists, so it's like, let's do something different. He's not going to be part of my army. I just like this model. I found him in a box of bits that Soft Servo gave me, and he suggested to make like a set piece with these guys, right? And so what I'm going to do, first of all, he's on the wrong size base because Games Workshop made them bigger. But what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to find as a knife one. I found a few pieces that he was making, he was trying to model and mold so that we had more just terrain for other games. And I found like this, that right there. And I found some of these. So what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to take him off this base first of all, and then I'll have him just kind of walking through this thing that's like dimly lit, and it's just going to be a cute little diorama of a Space Marine entering through an old archaic looking corridor so he can purge heresy or something. Not sure what yet. I just know that I'm going to take Red's advice and I'm going to cut away from me, because I really don't want to like delay going to church because I've sliced my finger open. So okay, they use super glue on this, and so this base is gonna have to die. Aha! I did it. Forget you, base.
need to rip my finger off or anything. So now, I'm gonna scrape. Oh, that's why, I see. This was so old that the plastic just kind of folded in my hand. That's amazing. Now, I have no idea when this model would have come about, because I actually have some Tactical Marines from like 2004, before they had their slight size increase with the current squad that you can buy. You know what I mean? And they're all very generically posed. They've all kind of just got that half squat. I don't think any of them have this stride as their design, as like their pose. So I have no idea where this came from. And that means I must ruin it and make it so that everyone who looks at it gets really upset with me. Okay. Golly, there's so much crap. I feel like if I sped this up, this would be one of those videos like the carpet cleaning videos that are just supposed to be kind of soothing to watch. Because I'm doing like old school restoration of models so that I can ruin them personally. But my god, are these neat to look at. Get more of that crap off of there. I always make that mistake of watching those sped up videos and thinking, you know, I'm very aware it's sped up, but in my brain I see them moving at that speed, and I immediately internalize that as that's the standard speed you should move at. So when I try and emulate them, I'm trying to move at the same speed as them, which is clearly a bad idea. This is not the right backpack. This is a backpack for a 2nd edition Marine, and this guy is clearly not a 2nd edition Marine. So I'm gonna make it the right backpack. But yeah, that's always tickled me greatly. I've loved those. I love those videos. They show you how to do cool things quickly, or let you watch cool things being done quickly. But they clearly have given me personally a false understanding of the speed and deliberateness of the technique being used. And so it's made me learn a lot of painting techniques and a lot of other techniques very rapidly, but it's also given me this idea that they need to be done at that same speed.